Well, welcome, Grace Nation, to again another talk of your journey to joyful living. And today we have a truly inspiring guest, Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino. Elizabeth is an award winning author, master of gratitude, and empowerment expert. She is the brilliant mind behind the Change Guidebook and the Success Guidebook, helping people worldwide live their best lives with purpose and joy. As the founder of Best Ever You, she champions personal excellence and heart centered leadership. It's an honor to have her share insights on how we can embrace gratitude and empowerment for a joyful life. So grab their tea, get comfy, and let's dive in. So, hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, thank you for having me, Grace.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, Elizabeth, we live in a world that often feels fast and stressful and overwhelming. And I was like, Elizabeth is going to help us center ourselves uh, because your work reminds us what true joy is. And it's not about avoiding life's challenges, but about embracing gratitude and empowerment even through them. So let's start with this. What does joyful living truly mean to you?
So I think joyful living really means rooting in gratitude. I think that's probably one of the most important things that we can do, and go from there so that we can align our heart, truths, and energy, and make the choices that align to our purpose, to that go and connect to our gratitude, our heart's truth and energy, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
I think it did, but that helps us be our best in every moment. But I absolutely love the topic of gratitude and helping people root in gratitude so that it becomes a way of living for them. So it's like gratitude on autopilot. Be grateful for breath,
Yes, absolutely.
being here, and so forth.
Absolutely. Being here, breathing, just I'm grateful for everything. Like every day I wake up, I'm like, I'm grateful for my apartment. I'm grateful for the food. I'm grateful for the small things that I see around me. And I think that makes my day, it starts better than if I didn't do that.
I think so too, for sure. And it just reframes everything. Like I'm a human being who has life-threatening food allergies. So every time I go
Ooh.
to eat, it's a challenge. I have a medic alert on and all sorts of stuff. And I've had life-threatening food allergies since I was in my mid-20s, and I'm 55 now. So I've been resuscitated twice, and all of these
Ooh.
things. And there was a moment where I didn't feel so grateful. I felt like, woe is me, and why do I have this? And, again, and it took that moment in that rehab facility with my dad's stroke, and that moment in that alphabet exercise to kind of really understand, like, okay, we're going to reframe all of this, everything that's going on, and live a more purposeful life, and think about kind of how we're interacting with people, how we're helping people, through their own pain, what kind of footprints we're leaving. Just everything came into question kind of in that one moment. And
Absolutely.
gratitude slipped in and took hold.
Yeah, it stuck. That's amazing.
Yes.
So, how can someone practice gratitude when facing personal hardships or struggles?
Yeah, that's tough to just say, well, go get a gratitude journal and have fun, isn't it? When there's true hardship going on, that's tough stuff right there. And yet that is exactly what I might recommend, is to go and start writing and thinking positively, and finding what you do have that's working, that makes you feel well, and so forth, and hanging on to that. I can think of a moment where my dad was having a rough day, for example, in the ICU, and they were doing ventilator things with him. And I looked at my mom and I said, we're going to leave right here in this moment. He's going to be fine. We're going to go. We're going to take a break from this. It's been a really long day. And somebody had the really good thinking to put the Kohl's department store across from the hospital. And I'm like, we're going to go shopping. And my mom's like, I don't want to go shopping. And I'm like, listen, we're going to go shopping. We're going to reframe our breath, our
Mhm.
lives, and everything, even though this is really tough stuff, in some lighter, more grateful things. We're going to just do some, I am grateful for just even sweaters, Mom. You love sweaters. We're going to be grateful for sweaters right now. It's cold. We're going to go get some. She's like, I don't want to go sweater shopping. I'm like, well, guess what? We're going. Anyway, long story short, she did not want to go through the store. And it was kind of like just distracting her a little bit because it had been tough. And we brought 2 sweaters and brought them back with us. My mom's like, I don't want to put that on. Like, I know. I get it. I get it. And so we tied them around our necks like superhero capes and went back into the hospital for the rest of the day. And it's like little things like that that you do where you just find a glimmer of gratefulness, just for everything. Even flipping my dad's situation, okay, he's alive. He's not quite breathing on his own just yet, but he's alive. He's doing better. There's all sorts of little things that you can do that implement gratitude. And that's exactly what you have to do. And if it does take a journal and writing them down so that you get the practice in place and your brain focusing on that, the more you do things like that, the more your brain catches on and it goes on to autopilot. So when you are in situations, your reserve is gratitude instead of something else. You automatically yourself.
You train your mind, you train yourself to go there directly. And if, I think you were the one that created the flip method.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody uses it. Even AI.
Do they? Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. It's the gratitude flip is something in both of my books that I was like, we've got to get people's speech and actions from, I have to go do that.
Right.
I get to go do that. It totally changes the scope of whatever it is. And, we would even use that with my dad, there were some really, really tough days where you're like, I don't want to go do this. And you think, well, I'm going to get to go do this. He's alive. He's going to live through this. We're going to pile on as much positive energy to the situation as we can. And that doesn't always work. I get it. But it really helps the situation rather than the other. The opposite of that is, you're sitting there complaining and not grateful. So I think we have a choice in every moment. Gratitude really is a choice in every moment of your life to be grateful. And you can really lose sight of it because things happen that are just devastating. And it's really hard to say, oh, well, I'm so grateful. And yet eventually you might get there if you put that
eventually, yes.
Yeah. Keyword there was eventually.
Sometimes, when I get overwhelmed with life or I start going down the negative road, I'm like, okay, slow down. Intrusive thought, get away from me. I curse it out and I allow the good thinking that I trained myself to have, the gratitude. And, I think we talked about this, like if I'm nervous about something, when you have butterflies in your stomach, instead of saying, oh, I'm so nervous, I'm like, I'm so excited.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just subtle nuances with language that we speak to ourselves that make all the difference. And, I think it's really important to note that, we are people, life's messy and we aren't happy all the time. We aren't grateful all the time. We can be a whole host of things from here to here. And, it's important to acknowledge that, accept that, and so forth. And sometimes maybe even set a timer. And then that's your phone, not mine. We always have sirens, dogs barking your phones. That's you.
I forgot to put airplane off on. Let me put it right now because, oh my God, that was the universe.
Is it anybody cool? That's the thing. We can put the podcast on hold, but was it somebody cool? Got to pick it up. But anyway, and that always happens to me too. Like the doorbell rings or the dog barks or you had a siren earlier and it was pretty funny.
Let me tell you real quick. One time I had a whole mattress delivery. At the moment I started the podcast, I had a co-host. The moment I start, I'm not joking. The phone rings like they're outside. I could hear them outside. I'm like, sorry guys, let me go with and we podcasted the whole delivery. The delivery guy was like behind me, like, hey, hi everyone.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I had a podcast years ago with the late Ed Asner, and his doorbell rang in the middle of it. He got up and went and answered it and came back, and it was pretty funny. I'm like, all right,
was that live?
That happens, yeah. But anyway, so I I think we're not happy all, we're not, it's not
No,
realistic to be happy all the
no.
time. And we don't want to, implement, like glossy toxic positivity or anything like that. We're
Yeah.
not saying that, but we are saying, grab onto the gratitude when you can, and grab onto that positive nature, because it really helps you through situations, when you can just, when all hell's breaking loose and you can just see a little bit of something, it's that expands
Yeah.
to more and better things. So that's just kind of one way to cultivate gratitude, though, is to just have that. I love it when people write it down, because when you write it down, it becomes kind of more real. Your brain's looking at it and so forth.
Mhm.
I had a gratitude journal all through COVID, and
Nice.
I've had it since too. COVID threw me for a pretty good loop. I'm like, what's going to happen to all of us, kind of thing. And I really had to get out a journal, and I would write. It's one of my Percolate Daily journals. I would
Nice.
write 5 things that I'm grateful for, and then write a paragraph of what's going on today, kind of thing. And I would do that in the morning, at night, for an entire year. I did that. And I also journaled about forgiveness. During
Uh-huh.
that period of time, I studied forgiveness and wrote all about forgiveness in my journal and things like that. So journals are just a really good way of, as you're writing, your brain's listening. And
Absolutely.
even if it's people are always afraid to write in journal because they're afraid people are going to read them. It's like, if I leave that line around, are people going to read it? And maybe, but I think it's important to do so. Just get anything, even a notebook, and just start writing.
Absolutely.
I'm grateful for rainbows. I'm grateful for the sky. I'm grateful for my light kit. I'm grateful for my tooth. Whatever it is,
Yes.
write it on down.
100%. Anything that's in
Silliest
front of
thing.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that is in front of me, I'm like, thank you for my laptop. I have 2. Thank you for, because I'm
Yeah.
not. Thank you, like you were saying, for the lights, for the sun, for nature. I mean, just the
Anything.
simple things, anything, absolutely. And it just changes your mindset
Yeah.
completely.
Even if you take an object that's around you and you say, okay, thank you for this cat statue. Oh, I remember when we got that cat statue. It was a really cool moment in Las Vegas, blah, 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 blah. And
Yeah.
you tie a memory to it, and but put the gratitude on it. Put the gratitude spin on it, on just about anything that you can. Even when your car has a flat tire, I'm grateful for my car.
Well, also maybe I always think, maybe I got a flat tire because if I continued with my tires working, I could have had an accident.
Yeah.
So we don't know, right? The
We
possibilities,
don't.
the realm of possibilities that are out there.
Yeah, when life halts you for some profound reason, you have really no idea why it halted you for those 5 minutes or whatever it is. So, yeah, I've had moments like that, little brushes with, wow, 5 minutes earlier and this or that, or later or whatever. So, yeah, just grateful. You can't get enough gratitude. And I think also I think sometimes people confuse. It sounds funny, but people confuse gratitude with goals. And
Oh,
so a lot of the time people confuse gratitude and goals, and they intertwine sometimes. So I'm grateful that I'm this or that, and I'm going to set a goal for blah blah blah. You can do that. I sometimes recommend separating them out, but sometimes people do gratitude and goals in one journal, and I'm like, ooh,
oh,
that's a
okay.
lot. It's a lot on you.
Yeah.
But you can. And if you're going to do that, the one thing that I say with goals is to make sure that you share your goals. You can even share your gratitude. I did a
Yeah.
whole year of that too, where we did good morning gratitude, and we were very vocal in the morning that come on with your coffee, start your morning with us, and here's some gratitude for you. Here's some goal setting for you. Even here's some affirmations. Here's some journaling, whatever it is. And we would get on there in the morning, and people could use it at lunch or at night or whatever. But we would tape every day. But the big thing about both gratitude and goals, make sure especially with goals, that you're vocal about them.
Uh-huh.
Gratitude is cool because being vocal with gratitude is cool because that means you're saying thank you to
Yes.
people. Perhaps you're writing thank you notes. You're even just being thankful for what's around you. Goals are important to verbalize because people will show up for you to help you achieve them if they know about them. Really important. People are like
Oh,
I have this secret goal to be and they keep it in their being and don't share it. Well, I don't know what you're thinking. And if I don't know what you're thinking or what your hopes, goals, and dreams are, I can't show up for you to help you. I can't network for you. I can't put you in front of Grace for a podcast that you're going to do together. I don't know unless you tell somebody or tell me or tell you what your goals are.
I love that. This is about gratitude and also empowerment. What does personal empowerment mean to you, and how does it connect to joy?
Huh. Well, I think everything I do is rooted in gratitude. And then what I really love to do is help people find and kind of live with their heart, truths, and energy all day long. Your heart, truths, and energy. So empowerment to me means that you're aligned with your purpose, you're aligned with your heart, you're aligned with your truths, and you're aligned with your energy. So when you're in that moment of empowerment, you feel empowered, and perhaps you even feel empowered enough to impact someone else and lift them up. And it's a whole thing that we do. Most of the time, our life isn't really about us and what we're doing and so forth, but really it's about lifting other people up. And that's the real special sauce, I think, is when you're really helping other people find and connect to their heart, truths, energy, purpose, soul purpose, whatever you want to term that, and help them feel empowered instead of a lot of people walk around and make people feel less than.
Yes.
Or comment negatively, or they make them feel less confident or insecure or whatever. And I like to treat every human being that I meet with grace, elegance, courage, determination, excellence, a sense of maybe collaboration, empowerment, as you say, and help them on their journey to joyful living. And it's really cool when you do that too, because we always teach each other things.
Yes.
And that's the part I find kind of fascinating too, when you get around somebody who's like, you got a little gap here. Let me help you with that, and send you on your merry way forward, learning a little bit more. So that that's what I think it is. And what I mean, people always say, what do you mean by heart, truths, and energy? And what I mean is going from here to here all day long. Because we think all the time, we overthink, we do everything. And I want to get people here so that they're thinking with their heart, and they're a little bit more aware, a lot of bit aware that we aren't entitled to time, and a lot of bit aware of other people and how we're encountering people. And what I mean by that is you never know what is going on in another human being's life at all unless you pause and unless you interact. And we're so busy. I feel like we trample on people. We honk at people. We don't hold doors open, whoever it is. We are mad that the line's too long in the grocery store. We're just impatient. And I like it when we're a little bit more paused, a lot more patient, and we're way more aware of each other. Because you have absolutely no idea what's going on in somebody else's life. You wouldn't know if I'm grieving. You wouldn't know if I'm happy as a lark because I got a new job. You wouldn't know if I was sick. You wouldn't know if I had just gotten out of the hospital from an allergic reaction.
Yes.
You would know nothing unless you stop, pause, and don't make assumptions that everybody's feeling perfect around you. Because I had a thing that I was also thinking about for a whole year. I called it kind of like the walking wounded. And I don't know if that's the right term for it or not, but it was, I felt like people, almost everybody was walking around with at least something going on in the background that no one was aware of, like a health issue, a money issue, a personal issue, a family issue, you call whatever it is. And where I was thinking like that is like, nobody knows that my dad was sick for that long. Nobody knows what we went through, and my mom went through. She was a caregiver for so long, and looking at her, you'd have no idea, kind of thing, unless you stopped, paused, and said, "Hey, how are you?" And then we elaborated, or something like that, and like looking at you right now, no one would know that you're a cancer survivor unless they stop, pause, maybe Google, ask, and so forth. And so, and where this really hit home, I'm kind of harping on this, sorry, because it's just something I so wholeheartedly believe in. Where I learned that really was when my father had a stroke and he survived, and he was back home and things like that. He loved to go to Best Buy and Target for new movies every week. And he was effectively blind from the
Oh,
stroke. He was like, had field cuts and things like that. But looking at him, you couldn't tell. We knew, but just in general passing, you couldn't tell that my dad was a stroke survivor. So he would accidentally bump into people because he couldn't see. And there was this,
oh,
yeah. And so there was this one time where a new movie came out and everybody was there. My dad bumped into somebody who was a huge guy, 6'4". And this person was like, listen, old man, blah, 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 was going to like punch him. And he's like, oh, hang on. My brother stepped in. He's like, listen, he's a stroke survivor. He didn't mean to bump into you. And the guy felt like such a jerk.
yeah, because he was.
Yeah, he kind of was because, but he really felt it when he knew that my dad was disabled. But it caused my dad to carry around cards that said,
Oh,
I'm sorry I bumped into you. I'm a stroke survivor. Please forgive me, kind of thing, because he would bump into people. But, you never know what people are
you
going
never
through.
know.
You would
Absolutely.
never know. Yeah. So, but, and I think that's where, where we need to spend some time empowering other people to
Yes,
be kind to other humans, and stop, pause, and implement that, because it isn't such a joyful life or journey to joyful life when you're on the receiving end of cruelty.
yes, absolutely. So how can we encourage gratitude and empowerment in our relationships?
I don't know. I was trying to think about that one earlier. You got the I don't know on that one. I think I'll go back to like little things. I was thinking big things, but I'm going to go back to the little things. I think it's the little things that we do for each other
Yeah.
that in our relationships that really solidify, I'm grateful for you. Just the tiny little things.
Mm,
I mean, I've been married for almost 30 years now. We have 4 sons. They're in their mid 20s now. One's in his late 20s, actually about to be 30, believe it or not.
yeah.
And,
Wow.
I think about when somebody asks me about relationships, that's the one I go to. And I talked about this in my book too, and things like that. But it's the little things. It's your ability to navigate change. It's your ability to be grateful for things. And it's the little things that you're grateful for, that make the bigger moments even more joyous, or something that you need to navigate through where you've got a really good practice in place of like, how are we going to get through this? Let's talk, let's do this, let's do that. And let's be grateful for what we do have, even though this moment is challenging. So I would say that just like the little things.
I
If that
love
makes
that. So see, you had the answer for
I
that
had the
one.
answer. I was
You
trying to think,
did.
though. I'm like, what is that exactly? What's the secret? Because people will sometimes go, what's the secret to being married for blah, blah, blah years? I'm like, oh boy, let me think about that one too a little bit. But I think I go back to grateful.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for my husband, Peter. He's just truly like when I can remember times where I'm like, okay, I'm at home with 4 kids, 0, 2, 4, and 6. And like all 5 of us would be sick or something like that, and he'd come home from work and be like, I got it. I'm going to make dinner. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
thank God for you, just little things
yeah.
like that, where people, the thoughtfulness
Yes.
is what's just so huge. And you really have to sometimes pause to be thoughtful, because we're all so darn busy. And life can be
Yes.
super messy, but the thoughtfulness and the kindness toward everyone is, I think, one of the real key ingredients that helps somebody be their best.
Absolutely. And some people, they give it their all and they're like, they lose themselves in the process of
Mm,
empowering others. So,
yeah.
what's one way to empower others without losing ourselves in the process?
Yeah, that's a tough one too. I've had to counter that on Best Ever You. You're asking some tough questions, Grace.
Like,
No,
Grace, why are you picking
they're
the
hitting
wrong ones?
home. They're hitting home. No, I can remember when I very first started Best Ever You. I mean, as with anything we start, we're at it 24/7, trying to make it succeed and things like that. And I
Yes,
can remember just being glued on the computer, learning, and all these things. So again, um, in small doses,
yeah.
I think is the answer there. Just
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's the answer. Just
I
taking
like
things
that.
slowly. And um, I'll throw this in too if I can. I think a lot of people don't have confidence.
Yeah.
I've learned over the years that one of the things that you can do when you go, 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 and do, and things like that is still not feel like you're worthy or doing enough.
Yeah.
And things like that. Our self-worth suffers when we do that. And sometimes our self-worth suffers no matter what. So I think in addition to gratitude, I think two of the other really important concepts are self-love and self-worth. And it made me really proud to be on that Good Housekeeping list where the Change Guidebook was named one of the top books on self-love in the world. I'm like,
That is
that
so
is
great.
huge. Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. It was a few years ago, but it's still doing its thing from that, to be alongside some of those books and in that company was just so huge for the Change Guidebook. I'm like, that is exactly what this book is about. Yeah, it appears to be about navigating change, but the underlying part of it is about rooting in gratitude, rooting in your self-love and your self-worth, and the things that build the foundation for you to be able to navigate properly in the world and interact with people in a way that is kind and considerate and everything. I treat other human beings with kid gloves. If I can, if that makes sense. Just,
Yes.
you're just like, okay, I want, when I encounter you, I want to make sure I encounter you with the elegance and the grace and the compassion and, a sense of human beings can be fragile.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I mean by, kid gloves. That's just a term to address, how fragile we are. You don't want to break somebody with your words or your
Oh,
actions or
definitely.
anything like that. And so, be delicate with people.
Yeah,
Be kind. Yeah.
absolutely. And it's true. So, sometimes when I explain something to an adult, and I can be impatient sometimes,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, treat this as if she was a kid or
Yep.
he was a kid. And that works because it makes me kinder, more patient. And yeah, without being like, oh, what are you
Yeah.
not getting?
Yeah, no, it's
Come
it's
on.
hard too. It's hard because even somebody over the past weekend is like, why do you try and help so many people that are broken? And I'm like sitting here going, that's exactly the answer. I know if you've got to ask, the answer. We all have things about us that are fragile. We all have things about us that we don't want you to know. We all have things about us that are insecure. Not everything is like, yay, everything's great and everything like that. And so, a complete person has things about them that ache.
Yeah.
And it's really important to realize that. As and Katie and I were talking, we're writing this new book. It's called The Peace Guidebook. And we have a chapter in there dedicated to positivity. The whole thing is about being positive. And I'm like, this is the hardest chapter to write. Because we're trying to figure out how to address people who don't feel so good, who don't, kind of everybody collectively, like it's not just puppy dogs and roses and butterflies all the time. And so Katie's over there going, well, but we have to address this and this and this. And I'm over there like, just gratitude it. Go
Just
on.
gratitude.
Go on gratitude on it. She goes, that's not practical. I'm like, but it's part of it. And we're just having we're having these great conversations about this one chapter of the book. And I think we finally got it in place. And basically it's about how we all trade off these moments
Yeah.
of happiness, sadness, joy, anger, frustration, greatness, whatever it is, but not everybody's great in all one moment or sad in all moment. It's all over the place. And so when you go onto somebody's social media and they're in South Carolina on the beach, like I might be right now or was earlier, somebody might go, oh, I want to be on that beach and I'm not, and I'm blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, let me just tell you, I'm getting back home in Maine to a septic system that needs to be replaced.
Oh, no.
So I'm stalling trying to go back home to Maine. Trust me.
I don't blame you.
Right? Yeah. So, but, and so social media isn't always real and things like that. And so
Yeah, we know.
I think we decided, yeah, exactly, in that chapter to keep it real. So your journey
Right.
to joyful living is really about living your best real life.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it real, keep it authentic, think with your
Yeah.
heart, align your energies to your authentic you. The world needs more authentic you, not fake you, not social media you, not
Mm-hmm.
what your mom wants you to do or your dad wants you to do or whoever it is, but what is right here.
I love that. Well, Elizabeth, this conversation has been a masterclass in living joyfully, empowered, and grateful. Don't forget grateful, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
really.
yes, your words remind us that joy isn't something that we find, it's something that we create for our lives. And it's about embracing the little moments, making courageous choices, and believing in our worth, right?
Yeah.
And to everyone watching, remember that joy is a practice, one that starts with gratitude and grows through empowerment.
Yep.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for inspiring us today. And where can people find you and
Uh,
continue learning more about you?
yeah, I think the best way is just besteveryou.com. It's free to
Okay.
join. I can't believe a half an hour has gone by. Wow.
Yes,
Thank you for having me, and
you're welcome.
congratulations on your you called it something. It was a marathon of some kind.
Streamathon,
Yeah,
streamathon.
streamathon. I thought that was so cute. Yeah, and congratulations on just all of your success and your
Thank
cancer
you.
journey and everything. I'm really proud of you.
Thank
And
you. I
and thank you for
appreciate it.
including me in your world. It's always fun. I love your friends and your audience and everything. So yeah, besteveryou.com.
Thank you. And we love you. So
Oh,
that's why
thank
you're
you.
here. You're amazing. I love your spirit and your soul. You have a beautiful soul. And you align with my Journey to Joyful Living brand.
Good.
So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
she's perfect.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
you are too. Yeah. You would align with our Best Ever You brand perfectly. So it's a
yeah.
piece in a pod.
So
It's perfect.
I
So,
love it. Every moment is a chance to inspire, uplift, and thrive. What better way to start your day than with a mug that's more than just a mug? It's your muse. Sip your coffee, tea, or hot cocoa while sipping on some self love with positive affirmations mugs for you. Your hat isn't just an accessory, it's your daily reminder to shine bright and vibe high. With our positive affirmations headwear for you, every step you take spreads love, joy, and confidence. From self love is your superpower to dream big and create your own story, our mugs and headwear remind you to keep thriving one positive affirmation at a time. Your vibe attracts your tribe. So let your mug and your muse inspire the world. Positive affirmations, mugs, and headwear for you. Start your journey of positivity today because you're worth it. Always.